What's going on, gamers, gaming fans, and especially Nintendo fans? Once again, it's your host, Arachnid Soul, and I'm here to review the Nintendo, not press conference, but digital event at E3 2014. Now, Sony had a press conference, Xbox had a press conference, Nintendo semi-announced, we're not doing a press conference, we're doing something else. And what they basically had, what they called it, was a digital event. It was a 45-minute infomercial for Nintendo. We're going to run down some of the highlights of that presentation. So they kicked off their event with Super Smash Bros. Coming to the Wii U and the 3DS. Now, I know this has been talked about, this is nothing new. The dates of these releases actually have been changed a little bit. The 3DS version was expected sometime this summer 2014. That's actually been pushed back. The new release date is now October 3rd. And when we talk about the Wii U version, we expected that maybe early next year, maybe January or so next year. They've actually pushed that up to the holiday season this year, so you can expect to see that around Thanksgiving or the December holidays. But let's get into what this game features. This game features something that Nintendo has been rumored to be working on for years, where you can actually take your Miis, your little avatars on Nintendo, and you can actually have them fight against other people's Miis, or you can have them fight against real Nintendo characters. This is pretty cool. It's the first time we've seen it. They did go into what the special abilities for the Miis would be, because let's face it, Nintendo characters have certain trademarks, certain attacks that you might associate with them, whereas with the Mii character, it's just a Mii, it's just there. So what you're going to have is 3 different character types. You've got your Brawler. You'll be able to pick any of these for your Mii fighter. You've got your Brawler, which is, no weapons, it's a melee attacker. You've got Sword Fighters, which I know it's surprising, they fight with swords, they're weapon masters. And then you've got your Gunners, and the Gunners have arm cannons and they use projectiles. You're also going to be able to pick 4 special moves for each of your Mii U fighters. You will have a selection of 36 moves to pick from. I don't know, the game looks pretty awesome. I'm going to be real honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of, Smash Brothers or PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale type games. But if you are a fan of this, I know it's a hot seller. I think this was actually the hottest seller that Nintendo's had in the past couple of years. You might want to check this out. Another thing that we saw was a little thing called the Amiibo. And what this is a toy that has a special kind of chip on the bottom of it. You're actually going to be able to put this on top of your Wii U. And they demonstrated, they showed Super Mario, they brought out his Amiibo, they put him on the Wii U, and then you've got Super Mario in the game. Now this seems like something, you've seen this before with action figures, we've heard about this. But the cool thing is, not only will your Amiibo transform the game, but your game's going to feed data back to the Amiibo, so then you can take that Amiibo action figure, whatever they're going to call it, and you could take that over to someone else's DS, and you've got all your data saved there. And I don't know, some people say we've seen this before with action figures, and it's kind of like a memory card, and why can't I just download this content? Why do I have to have a physical figure that I'm going to carry around in my pocket? Anyway, it's Nintendo. They're always trying new things. It will be kind of cool, especially when you think about, little kids. Maybe now they've got these action figures they can run around with, and they're more than just toys. They can actually interact with their video games. Now, the first game that will actually have Amiibo support will be the Wii U version of Super Smash Bros. We've also heard that it is coming to some other games. We'll see later on. If you go to Nintendo.com, they've actually got a full Amiibo demo. They give you all the information, all the insight. If you have any questions, if you want to see what this thing looks like, it looks pretty cool, by the way. But if you want to see any of that, Nintendo.com is the place to go. The next game that they showcased was a game that's coming out next year in 2015. It's Yoshi's Woolly World. Now, this is a kind of 2.5D action platformer. It has 2-player co-op. It looked pretty cool. You guys are going to want to find footage of this. It looks a little, I hate to say it because I said this with the Xbox press conference, but it does look a little Big Planet-ish. But that's a good thing. I mean, it looks Little Big Planet-ish, but it is a completely different game. It's in the Nintendo world. Yoshi's become such a powerful character now that he can fly and he has all these different abilities. And they were talking about, okay, you've got a 2.5D game, and when you've got a character who can fly, why can't he just fly through why can't he just fly through the levels? What are the obstacles? And they've explained it, and it looks like a really good game. It looks like a game where if you have a Wii U, you might want to pick this up. It's dropping once again in 2015. Just for the look of the game, even if you don't have a Nintendo, even if you're not a Nintendo fan, even if you don't plan on buying a Wii U, I would say find footage of this because it looks pretty awesome. Nintendo has so many characters, and a lot of the time I forget how many awesome characters they have that are trademark Nintendo characters until I either play or see a Super Smash Bros. Game or anything else they're releasing. What about Toad? Captain Toad Treasure Tracker. That is a game that you will see very soon on the Wii U. In fact, it's coming out this holiday. And if you remember Super Mario 3D World, and you remember some of the puzzles, that's what it looks like to me, but it's completely Toad. It seems like, yeah, if I have a Wii U, I'm going to get this game. There's not really much else I can say about it. Go look for game footage. I think that'll tell you more about the game than anything I could say. There wasn't much information given on this game, besides kind of what it looks like and what to expect just based on the Nintendo games that have come out in the past couple of years. If you thought that there was not going to be an announcement about a new Zelda game, you are crazy. Of course they're going to do that. They said, well, we're not really going to announce a new Mario game, even though they did, and we'll get to that later. But you got to either have that big Mario title, or you've got to have that big Zelda title. And what we're looking at when we talk about the new Wii U Zelda that's coming out in 2015, the game looks amazing. It's a completely new art style. I saw Zelda. I know some people are gonna complain that why does Link in the new Zelda game have blue clothing on and his hair is auburn? We missed the blonde locks, and he looks awesome. His weapons look awesome. The world, the horse, everything. Now this game is kind of answering some of the questions that the developers wanted to answer years ago with Wind Waker. And they talk about how in Wind Waker, you kind of went from island to island, and the world didn't seem like one expansive, connected world. It seemed like you went over here, this was a level, you finished up. You went over here, this was the start, this was the end, and then you went somewhere else. This is an open world Zelda game. I mean, they literally said, you see those mountains way the hell over there? If you keep riding the horse, you can get there. Almost like a Far Cry or some of these open world games that you guys are used to playing. It looks brilliant. You can play the missions in any order. There's multiple ways to play the missions. They really are trying to redefine Zelda, which it's awesome, but it's almost unnecessary because you just have to tell people, hey, it's Zelda, and people will buy it. This game's going to be a smash hit. This is obviously a Nintendo exclusive. This is what they need, and they're bringing it to the table, and it looks great. Then let's talk about a couple of remastered games that are being re-released. Again, Nintendo exclusives, big seller, big hit for Nintendo. Coming to the Wii U, and you can expect to see both of these titles November 21st of this year, 2014. You've got Pokemon Omega Ruby, and you've also got Pokemon Alpha Sapphire. What can I say? You guys have played these games. If you haven't played the Pokemon games, there's not much I can say. These are going to be remastered, these are going to be re-released, and I'm sure the Pokemon fans will be annoying all of their relatives this Thanksgiving season with these re-released Pokemon titles. Talking about bringing back franchises, talking about hit games that people love that will be coming back. Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2, October of 2014. There wasn't a lot of information given, but once again, if you're a Bayonetta fan, you're going to want to go look at some footage. Then we move on to something that I know they're so excited about, and this is something that Nintendo can, grab some people with. People love Dynasty Warriors. We already talked about the fact that people love Zelda. Well, what if you mix those two things together? That's exactly what Nintendo's doing. It's called Hyrule Warriors. You can expect this game this year, 2014, September number 26. And it looks a little bit like Dynasty Warriors. You've got the Zelda characters. There are certain MOBA elements, almost like a Dota 2 or StarCraft. It's not a MOBA game in the sense that you're thinking, but those elements are there. The art design looks great. They ran down a couple of the features, and they did announce that it would be 1 or 2 players, and it won't be split screen. Now, I don't know exactly why it's not possible to have split screen on there, but they did say that they wanted everyone to have a full screen, so one person will be able to play via the TV, the other person will be able to play via the gamepad. But, look for that when that comes out. Once again, it's September number 26. Let me point out some of the characters. You've got Impa. If you've played Twilight Princess, you know about Midna. She's in there. Link and Zelda. Obviously when it's called Hyrule Warriors, you kind of want to have Link and Zelda in there. It looks like a pretty good game. It looks like a pretty decent game. It looks like a game where if you're a Nintendo fan and you have a Wii U, this is a game I would pick up. Let me tell you about when I was a little kid, and I used to play video games and played so many Nintendo games and could never finish anything. And then there was a Nintendo game that came out. It was a Game Boy game, actually, and it starred Kirby, and I fell in love with Kirby. I loved him on the Nintendo. I loved Kirby on the Dreamcast. And the Kirby games were actually the first games I was ever able to beat. And that's why, to me, the most exciting thing that they announced this year at E3 Nintendo-wise, and I know I'm the only one who thinks this, but Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, which looks like Kirby, but everything is kind of clay-type graphics. It's coming to the Wii U in 2015. I mean, once they started playing that old-school Kirby music, it was like, you had me at hello. It looks absolutely brilliant. I would definitely buy that game. I know it's not the biggest game announced, and everyone's like, oh, it's Kirby, but Kirby's so good and so underrated. Now let's move on to a game that wasn't supposed to be, because we're not gonna have a new Mario game out this year, and we even announced it at the beginning of the digital event, but we do have a new Mario game. But I guess technically it's not this year, since it is coming out next year in 2015. It's Mario Maker. And the tagline for it, to give you a little taste of what this is before I go into it, the tagline is, create your own custom Mario courses. Create your own custom Mario courses. I see people in the little trailer, they're touching the screen with the stylus, they're moving the Goombas around, they're moving the pipes up and down, they're adding springs. One of the cool features of this is when you're playing through the level, and it looked like some of the old school original Mario Nintendo game levels, and you see that pipe and it's 100 stories tall, and you're like, well, hell, I can't jump up there. No, but you can touch it with the stylus, you can make the pipe shrink, and then you can add a spring. You jump over the pipe, you jump onto the spring, and you jump up and grab that old school Mario flag and try to get as many points as you can. It looks pretty cool, and I also like the fact that you can switch between the modern graphics and the original kind of Nintendo graphics, which I'm guessing a lot of people might be playing it and they're going to see those older graphics. They're like, when the hell did Mario look like this? It looks so flat and blocky, and all we know is the 3D Mario. Anyway, that's basically an overview of Mario Maker. It's coming out in 2015, so they've got a lot of time to give you more information on it. They've got a lot of time to finish it. It's going to be another kind of cool, innovative game that Nintendo's coming out with. Nintendo does it better than anybody else, and they brag about it better than anybody else. Hey, look at this cool stuff we're coming up with. We've got to move on to, and I know I just said this about Kirby, and you're like, dude, you just said that about Kirby 2 minutes ago. How are you going to just flip-flop on that? But actually, Splatoon. It looks amazing. It looks ridiculous. It looks so good that it looks like a game that like PlayStation or Xbox wishes they would have come up with. It's kind of a third-person shooter, but instead you shoot paintballs, and maybe I'll do a whole video on this game at some point, like I did a whole video on the new Halo Halo 5 and the Master Chief Collection. God, where do I start with this game? It's 8-player co-op, so you've got 4-on-4, 4 versus 4 online. It's a shooting game, like I said. You're shooting paintballs, and I know I'm not selling this well, but you've basically got 2 teams. Each team has a different color paint, and you've got a time limit. You're on a huge map, and whichever team can cover the map with the most amount of their color paint, by the time the time runs out, that team wins. That seems kind of basic, right? But you've also got human characters who can transform at the push of a button from humans to squids. Okay, I can tell you guys still aren't sold on this concept. Let me explain. If you're a human and you're walking through a rival team's paint, it's going to slow you down. Whereas if you're a squid, you can now swim through your own paint, which means the more stuff you paint, including walls and ceilings or the floor, the more stuff you paint, the more likely your team is to win when the time runs out. But now you can also move around faster. You can swim through the paint. You can stay in the paint if you want to and hide under, not underwater, but I guess under paint, and ambush the other team. There's so many different strategies. Are you going to be someone who's going to protect your base? Are you going to be someone who just runs out and tries to cover the most amount of stuff with paint? Are you going to be someone who uses the paint that other people on your team have sprayed out, and you're basically just going to attack the other teammates? It also looked really cool to see that, and they pointed this out, while, you play a lot of first-person shooters or third-person shooters, you can't really see bullets flying through the air, but you can see streams of paint. And the graphics on this game, they couldn't be any more perfect for what they're trying to do here. The graphics are brilliant, the art style is brilliant. This, in my opinion, if you have a Wii U, and this is the only game I've mentioned today where I'm saying this, if you have a Wii U, go buy this game when it comes out next year. It's called Splatoon. It's coming out in 2015. This game looks absolutely amazing. And if you were going to go now look for footage, try to find the full trailer, because I don't know if a short little clip is going to do this justice. Anyway, and let me point out, I didn't do the Sony review because, Sony's that company. I love Sony. I game with Sony more than anyone else. Well, actually, I'm kind of going over to PC now, but in any case, I love Sony, but they dropped the ball with certain things. I thought they had a really awesome press conference, which maybe I will cover. Unfortunately, the streams were horrible, and they kept dropping, and I was like, I can't review this. I don't know what the title of that game is, when it's coming out. The feed's dropping every 20 seconds. I was 45 minutes into their press conference before I found a good stream. Anyway, guys and girls, there's your Nintendo E3 review. Please go back, check out the other stuff on my channel, including the full Xbox E3 review, the full Halo information on the disc that's coming out with all 4 Halo games to lead into Halo 5. You see the logo on the screen. Check me out on Twitter. Please go follow me over there. If you like this content, please hit that subscribe button. Once again, it's been your host, Arachnid Soul. I thank you all for joining me. Have a great day, and I will catch you girls and guys later.